Hey y'all, welcome to Reality with Taylor, the realest podcast that you will ever come across.
Period. And the green light's on its own right.
It's on, it's been on.
Hi everybody, this is Reality Podcast where we tap into reality by challenging unpopular opinions. So, as you can see by the title, we are going to be talking about interracial adoption. I feel like there's a lot of unpopular opinions about that. Like, I think
Stigma and conceptions. Too.
yeah, because a lot of people aren't really so. We're used to seeing a lot of negative things about it and stuff like that, and I feel like it is a topic that through knowing you, this is one of my best friends from college.
Hi, my name's Noah.
Yeah.
You can check me out on my social. He goes by Noah.
Yeah, I'm gonna include that. Oh. I thought you were done.
But yeah.
This is somebody that he's the first person I actually like met for real that is adopted, and he's adopted by white parents. I would say for me personally,
dearly.
as you should. As you should. I think like a common thing that we think about adoption is like negative stuff is like pushed to the forefront. Like
right.
I rarely hear like positive things unless they're adopted by like somebody maternally or like in their family. But it's like you just hear about the troubles they grew up in the foster care system and the struggles a lot of adopted kids go through and stuff like that, abuse in the child circumstances. Not even trying to go into the abortion stuff, but even like the pro-life and the pro-abortion hypocrisy, I feel like it's kind of like there's people that hate abortion, but then at the same time they hate that children are growing up through foster care. So it's like, are you gonna adopt kids? Are you gonna?
But then also they hate abortion process. But then if the child ends up being black or gay or anything that's not but they're a little bigoted idea, then they want the child to die. So yeah, I mean, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, you're right, because I feel like that has changed a little bit now, but it's like they don't really feel like they're as suitable to be in society. So it's like they just don't feel like they should be accepted. Period.
So pick one.
I agree. I know, like on the celeb status, there's been a lot of celebrities that has gotten like so much backfire for adopting interracially. Like Madonna's adopted black kids. Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt has. And Sandra Bullock has. But it's just like you really don't hear anything with negative going on with the kids. It's just people trying to put their 2 cents on it as if like their opinion matters. When in reality, it's like if they're fine, if there's nothing wrong with them, then like what's the issue? Like a child is a child.
And what's sad is that because I can relate to that, and like the hate that comes from that is usually like from our community, the black community. They don't like that like people outside the race are raising the children that are in foster care, but then it's just like, what are you doing for them? So why can't they get a proper home? Why can't they have a proper life? So you want them to grow up in triumph and all that crap in the foster system, but then it's like, so what do you want? Exactly. Because you're not going to adopt them.
Yeah, you're not going to adopt them. You're not going to donate. You're not going to do community service. Like, as far as, like, with foster care and things like that. So it's just like, but you going to have time of your day to ridicule somebody or bully somebody that chooses to make a stand and actually make a choice to do it. Obviously, no. I mean, I'm not saying there's no racial tensions that happen between that. Like, I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying, like, that's just not always the case. And I feel like people just go by what they see, the perception. They just assume the worst when it's just like.
Because my parents have faced a lot of, like, racism upon that, talking about, well, why do you have a black child? You don't know how to raise a black man or a black child. You don't know the black experience or whatever it is. You probably don't know how to do his hair and all that type of stuff. And then, the stigma of a white woman having a black child, oh, you Negro lover type shit. And then also, like, you're taking our man type of thing, which is really not even the case. Because if you actually, like, see beyond her just having a black child, that she was married to white, and the white people adopted the black child. So, like, what man was taken?
That's crazy. So they've been told that, like, to their face?
Yeah.
But was it about people they knew or
no? Probably randoms. Like, you know how black people be bold enough. Oh, what do you know about wearing a black child? Oh, that's your child. Oh.
Well, speaking on that, like, I think what really made me want to like do this podcast and interview you about this was like the controversy that's going on with The Blind Side. The Blind Side was a great movie. I love that movie. It was very inspiring to like many other people.
I didn't know much about that until you told me, but
yeah, but the thing, I'm not gonna lie, I feel like the last time I seen it, I think I seen it when I was probably like 11. So I think if I were to watch it now, I'll probably have a different outlook on it. Basically, the storyline is Sandra Bullock portrays a woman that took this guy in, got him out the hood, and like moved him in with his house with his daughter, her son, and
it was a
her
good
husband.
movie, though.
Yeah, and they raised him. They helped him out. He made it to the league. Like he actually did great. But it recently came out that, and there's a lot of lawsuits. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but basically there's a whole lot of lawsuits going on. He's claiming that they used him for financial gain. Like they didn't really love him for real. So that's why I think now, because there's already a negative stigma on that kind of, well, I guess connotation.
Do a fundraiser within his name or something like that?
I think so. Like there was a lot of stuff that was like done, especially when the movie came out. Like that's kind of like made him a household name too, in the whole family. So it's like he also said, because movies, you got to add some type of tea to the movie to make people want to watch it.
Oh yeah, heighten up.
He did say some stuff wasn't even true, so that's why I do want to research that and see like what was it true, what was.
He does a tell-all movie of the real.
Yeah, a tell-all movie of the real stuff that happened. That'd be crazy. Here's my unpopular opinion, right? My unpopular opinion is that there's a stigma on many things interracial, whether it's dating, whether it's adoption, just all that. And because of that harsh reality, people tend to focus on the circumstances based on the constant negative outlook of interracial adoption, because of like everything that's already interracial and racist and all of that. It just makes, they use that and put it on interracial adoption as well. So that's just kind of like how I feel. Do you think that's kind of true?
Like how people frown upon interracial adoption, like
interracial dating, like anything interracial, really, like, or if like you're black and you hang around with all your friends are white, or you're black and you join a right fraternity, so you're not really sorority, black because you're that type of thing, like anything like that has to do with races mixing together, like not even dating, just like you got white friends or you hang around a lot of white people, and or vice versa, you white, you hang around a lot of black people. Like
I believe that's true because I got that a lot. Like because my parents are white, I'm not really black. Because like, what do I know about being black? Because I'm raised by white people. But just because I'm not raised in a black, quote unquote, I guess, household, I'm still a black man, and everything I do is black because I am black. Yeah. So, but just because I don't do stereotype stuff, like,
and that's my point on that. It's like, what is being black? That's one thing I hated growing up, because I was called an Oreo and stuff growing up too. What is being black? Because what I've noticed, what makes you black are stereotypes that black people place on each other a lot of times. Like for example, like I used to get picked on because of my vocabulary. Like I wouldn't say probably. Sometimes I'll say, oh yeah, most likely, or it could be like little things like that. And it's just like, just because I
talk white
or I'm articulate, like that's like
enunciate my words. I don't mumble. I used to get that from where I dressed, like, because I didn't really start doing like streetwear till probably like high school. So like I probably was like, quote unquote, as they would like to say, dressed like a white boy.
So like, where are you like originally from? Like, I know you're from like Gwinnett County area, but do you know like where you're like originally from? Like where you're
okay, well, you just dropping counties in here. So to start it all off, so I was born, my birth parents, I guess they're from Miami, because I was born in Miami, and when I was born, my parents came to pick me up, and they were living in North Carolina. So really, I'm from newborn to like 8 years old, 9 years old. I was from North Carolina, Raleigh, Wake Forest area. What's up? Then we moved to Georgia, and then we stayed in like Augusta for like 4 years. Like
you grew up in North Carolina mainly, and then you went to
then I went to Atlanta. No, then I moved to Augusta in 4th grade, and then going into 7th grade is when I came here to Atlanta.
Ooh, so like, why did y'all just move around? Because of job opportunities?
Mom's jobs, like yeah.
Oh, okay. How did that get you? Because like I grew up like that. Like I didn't move to states, but I moved around like in Georgia and stuff. And I know for me, like it really used to mess up with my anxiety because it would be like, okay, I'm in a new school, I gotta make new friends,
Yes.
I gotta get used to these people. Like I look different. I mean, not look different, but I feel like I am different because nobody knows me. So then it's like part of me is like, okay, I get to start over, but then the other part of me is just like, I don't want to start over. Like, what if I start over and I mess up? Like, it was just in my head. So, like, how was that? How was that? Like, did you have any like type of like issues with that conflicts, or you just it didn't really bother you?
Moving from North Carolina to Augusta, I thought that was gonna be scary, but I ended up just fitting right in and making a bunch of friends, which is nice. So then when we moved to Atlanta, I thought it was gonna be the same thing, but Atlanta is really actually what like shook everything up to where,
Really?
yeah, because like when I moved to Atlanta, apparently I was so different. So then like, oh, your name's not Black. Well, I got that all my life because my name's Noah. I don't look like a not.
See, but that's
I
the
don't have a
thing. Noah
name
is a
like
biblical name. Like, there's a
exactly.
lot of black people named
I'm not
Noah.
like a Tyrone or like a Quez or something like that. So apparently I'm not Black because of my name. But like, actually, I got that like all my life a little bit.
That's
But
like,
like,
so that's kind of weird too, because another thing about that, when we talking about names, I've known a lot of black people, at least like my family and growing up and stuff like that, is just like we're concerned about, okay, I don't need my child to get a job. I don't want the person to be able to read my child's application and know they're black by their name. That's sad. I feel like you should be able to name your child whatever you want to name, but
you
it's like,
should. But but really the Atlanta move to here is kind of really what like shook me up and kind of like I don't want to say made me more mean, but like kind of like hardened because nobody was really open. Everybody already had their cliques, and like for the first like I want to say 2 to 3 months, I really had no friends. Like I would be sitting by myself,
wow.
classes like by myself. Like nobody was like really welcoming. So then I was just
Yeah.
like felt alone.
I can understand that. I think that's how I can relate to that because that's how I felt. I grew up mainly going to like white schools, but it wasn't even. I mean, there was black kids there too, but it was mainly like the white part of town, white side of town.
Yeah.
So that's what that is. But it's still black people there. And so I remember I moved. We ended up moving when I was in 8th grade, and I went to like this like mainly like black school. Like it was like, it was like that.
Okay.
But these kids, they were great. Like that's, I'm not trying to like make them sound like, I'm not trying to put like that negative connotation, but I'm just saying like it was that type of environment for them too. And I kind of felt happy because I'm like, okay, I get to go be around kids that look like me and act like me, like they started teasing. That's the reason why I started listening to Migos too, because they teased the mess. They like, because like they were talking about what's that song like Freak No More, and I didn't know. I was like,
how does that
freak
go?
no more. She don't want to be a freak no more. She don't want to get in a geek no more. She don't even want to strip no more. They listening to that. Yeah, it was like it's on the album. I know why I came in this club with you, girl. I know why I
That's
came.
Migos.
Who did you think it was?
No, I feel like I don't heard her. I only really know Migos of like what they played at the dances.
So they're big, like the big, like Bad and Bougie. Like
no, before that too. Like, was it Fight Night?
I'm gonna repeat that. Like, yeah, that's on that same album too. Yeah.
Oh, well, there you go.
But I didn't know them, so when I first heard it, I was like, I don't know about this. Like, this is kind of crazy. But I was do it to try to fit in. Now I love Migos, but like, I would. And I'm just saying, like, I can kind of relate to feeling alone, and then it was a shocker for me because I'm like, I am black, like I'm like y'all, but I'm so different from y'all, and y'all see me just as like so different and so awkward, and that's I kind of it. I was honestly it made it. I fell into like a bad depression, like because sometimes they would. I'm not used to the joning, so like they would be saying stuff, and I'm not knowing they joking, but like they would be like, I mean, it will still be kind of inappropriate.
Right. No, because like I can relate to that too because that's what I was talking about when I first moved here. Because like I'm different. Of course, I'm not the stereotypical black person. My name's different. All this. I don't dress just like how a black, I guess, Atlanta kid should dress. So they would joke me on that, and like I really didn't like. I understand teasing, but like you know how like sometimes teasing it like there's no
especially
when you don't know them. There's like
there's no
like boundary because like it goes to one. It's
Like,
like,
they
oh,
used to
your
say,
shoes, haha, and then it's like, okay, cool, the shoes.
yeah,
Oh, but oh, well, now look at your face. Oh, yeah.
yeah, like, no,
Oh,
they
your
would go,
shirts. Oh, that, like, and it just keeps going. So
It's hair, whack. It's gear, whack. It's jewelry, whack.
then it's like, well, where's the joke? Because
or they
usually it's
start
like
saying stuff about you that you can't change. Like,
that part.
that kind of affected me up until middle school, up until high school and all that. Do you care about the who, what, when, where, why, how? Like, do you care about do you care about
Of what topic?
like about your biological parents? Like, do you care about like who they are, what happened, when did they make that decision, where were they, like how did it happen, and just like why of it all? Like, do you ever ask
I know
yourself
the
those
story. My
questions?
mom told me before. Apparently my birth mom had already had like 2 kids before me, but they weren't living like a good life, so she wanted me to have a better life. So therefore, she gave me for adoption. So
So you have other
that was
siblings
that.
and stuff.
Yeah, I think I have a. I know I have a sister. I don't know if I think I have a brother too, but I know I have a sister.
Okay, is there a way like that you could find? I mean, like if you wanted to find it, like,
Yeah, we have her. My mom has the information.
oh really? So you never like talked to her or talked to them or reached out, or you don't?
No,
Is
I
it?
just never. I've like never really like had that craving or thought of like it might in life, but like I just feel like it's like that's just awkward. Like I always felt like that. Like it's just like they gave me up to have a better life, so why am I going back to go? You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, it's just like
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm intruding or anything. Like
I mean, because I know some people like what I've looked up, like they want the closure, but I don't know. Maybe it's because like you grew up in like a pretty good life, so maybe you don't even
mhm.
need the closure. You don't feel like you need a closure. But some people just that thought in the back of their mind, like, dang, I wonder like
I do
what other
think
people
about it though,
have.
but like I never thought like okay, let's act on it. Like let me go figure it out.
I got you. Tell me a story about like how your parents kind of like got you like. So because you said you were born in Miami, so I guess they got you from Florida. But like, do you know
Mhm.
did they ever tell you like the story of like what they were dealing with, like why did they want to go? Why did they go through with adoption, and then how did they
I think
find you?
they couldn't have a baby,
Oh, okay, so they
so
reached out to like adoption
they
agencies.
tried the adoption method.
hmm
Mm.
So like, do you know if there was like a? Because this is the thing. Like, I want to be careful with how I ask it because I feel like,
Like if they could pick the race or like
yeah,
whatever.
because I feel like, but not even that. I just feel like children are objectified in adoption because it's like most parents want a baby. They want to
The
enjoy that.
newborn, like
Yeah.
yeah, you can go to an adoption agency. Well, I don't know if it's like that anymore, but like from what you
hmm
see on TV, like in the
Yeah.
movies, they go to an agency to look around at the kids, and like, oh, I want that. Like you know what I mean?
hmm
That's kind of crazy. Like kind of shopping like for like a
I
doll,
know that's what I'm saying. Like,
like a
it's
toy.
objectifying them. So I guess like, did your parents choose, or was it they just wanted a baby? They didn't really care about.
I feel
Like, do you know?
like they knew. I feel like they knew. I don't know that much of it, but I feel like they put him for a baby. I know they told me that they get to choose. They didn't get to choose the race. They just any baby. So I could have
Oh,
been.
so they didn't get to choose the race either. They were
No, they
just like,
didn't care.
oh,
They were
okay.
like he could have been Asian, Indian, Pakistani, blue from the Pacific Ocean. We would just want a baby.
I also think like because you told me this before. I don't think people really know how actually difficult it is to really like
Oh no,
adopt too.
adopt. They
Yeah.
told me like they have multiple home visits. They make sure they background
hmm
check you. They run your job. Like
hmm
they do a full on investigation, like FBI.
Because I know even with DeBrat and Judy, they recently had a baby. They had difficulties. They wanted a black child, but it was like there's not many black men that will do
Mm-hmm.
that. So it's like they were kind of limited with the race and stuff like that. So I think they chose to do that option, but it's still like so difficult.
It's not funny, but like every time I think of like sperm donor thing, I always think of that one reunion where Phaedra was like,
Oh,
"You."
yes.
Now check that.
I was like, I don't think there's nobody else that has read like that before. That was horrendous.
Phaedra was saying, "Let me end this real quick."
Now I want to get into like intersectionality. So if you don't know what intersectionality is, Kim Crenshaw, she kind of like came. I don't know. I don't think she came up with the term, but I know she was like one of the people that really like explained what it is and how a lot of black people, well, people in general, do face intersectionalities, but it's basically how you can be oppressed in multiple sectors. So, like for me, I'm a woman, I'm a black woman, that's a minority, and so forth. And for you, I know you're a black man,
black, gay. What are the other ones you said?
you're adopted,
Adopted.
you have white parents.
White parents.
So,
darky.
One thing like about you that I mean that is kind of fortunate, but at the same time unfortunate because it's like you weren't faced with that like awkward, conflicted situation of knowing or believing your parents are your parents, but then finding out that they're not your parents. You know how like that happens to some people, like they grow up thinking somebody's their dad or this is their mom, and it's really they're not. But it's like for you, it's kind of obvious because your parents are white.
No, actually, it really wasn't obvious to me.
That's what I was gonna ask.
Until
like,
I started grade school. Until like one, I feel like it was like I don't know if this is the exact, but this is like one of the moments where I realized it. I came back or like my mom picked me up or whatever. I'm like, that's my mom or whatever, and one of the kids, that's not your mom. She doesn't look like you. Mm-hmm. I'm like, what do you mean she doesn't look like me? Like y'all are different skin tones or whatever. And I'm like, what? And then like it was like that, and then that's when my parents were like, yeah, whatever.
And they had
to
like it's kind of like explain it to you.
Because I mean, obviously, I look different from my parents, and like I feel like I could see that, but I didn't think like, oh, well, these can't be my parents because they don't. You know what I mean? Because like at that little, you don't comprehend. You're not comprehending it.
Yeah,
because me growing up, all I ever knew that these are my parents.
Those are your parents. They raised you. I think that reminded me. I don't know. Have you ever seen Losing Isaiah? That movie? Have you heard of it?
No.
So it has. I think Samuel Jackson's in it. I know Halle Berry's in it, and there's some other great actors. I can't remember. It's been so long since I've seen the movie, but basically, it one of those movies that talked about adoption. Halle Berry was a drug addict. She had the baby. She put it like in a trash can. The guy was about to pick up the dumpster, throw it in the truck because they smush all the trash. He saw the baby, took the baby to the hospital, and I think a woman. I can't remember how the woman found. I don't know if she worked at the hospital or something, but the baby was about to, go into foster care. They couldn't figure out who the mom was, so I think she took them in to like until they found something or until the mom.
Halle Berry took her in, or like
a white woman, like a white family took a black baby. Like the baby was black. His name was Isaiah. Oh. So
a stereotypical name, apparently, I guess.
Yeah, Noah, Isaiah. So,
but they're both biblical and have the in it. So, like, I don't understand. Like, the comprehension skills of some people, I can't. But yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So basically, they took him in, and I think they kept him until he was about 3 or 4. So they had him, like, they were raising him. He had like I think she had already another child. Like she was like a teenager, so she was well. The mom ended up basically Halle Berry ended up going to rehab, I think, got better and stuff, and she was trying to get her son back and saying like they're white, they don't know my son, and I should have my kid and da 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 da. But it's like this white woman like raised him, like they loved him, and so but basically that was one of the main arguments about the interracial stuff of it. And the daughter, like she's white, she was a teenager, and she was playing with Isaiah. And they were blowing bubbles. Kids are crazy about bubbles, so he's playing with the bubbles. And she stopped blowing the bubble. She was like, Isaiah, put your hand next to mine. So he put his little hand next to hers, and she was like, what's the difference between our hands? He's like, your hand is bigger than mine. I'll keep blowing the bubbles. But he didn't say your hand is white, my hand is black. He said your hand is bigger than mine.
Exactly.
So he didn't really even comprehend that. And I do even remember, like, at the end of the movie, she was able to get her son, but the son didn't even want to sleep with her. Like, I think she woke up, the son was like sleeping in the tub by himself. Like, he was separated from his family. And that was like, because he was used to the white family, not her.
Oh, so yeah.
So he was like, I don't know you. Like, you took me from my mom and my dad. So it's like, he wasn't even comprehending it. I don't even think he was in school yet to even like understand it. So
wait, there was one. I don't know if this relates to that, but this just came to my head. There was this one instance, like I don't remember this, but like it was told to me by I think probably my mom. My mom tells me everything. So apparently, I think my mom and dad were in this is I guess when they're still married. I think they had me out at a store, And like I was because I was a mama's boy, so like anytime I was with my dad, I was like, So of course, me and my dad are arguing, bickering, going back and forth or whatever. And of course, that looks weird. A white man like trying to hold a black child that's like screaming, kicking, and raving. So like somebody thought it was like my dad was trying to like abduct me or something like that, which is not the case. But then like my mom came and I ran towards my mom, like mom, I just wanted my mom, but like So, but like outside looking in from other people, they were like, "What's going on over here?"
Yeah,
like all that type of stuff. Yeah. And my dad was, yes.
So like when people like said something, like people were like saying,
yeah.
Oh wow, that's crazy. Cause that's honestly like a common thing. Like I used to do stuff like that. Like when I'm with my dad, if I'm gonna walk off somewhere.
But like I guess because that was like early 2000s. Like when I was like
definitely a kid.
Like
a kid.
I don't think it's. Well, yeah, I probably have to be a toddler because they said I ran to my mom, so I had to be like 3, 4.
Yeah, because I ain't gonna run. Well, I ain't gonna lie. Sometimes I do be running to my mom. I ain't gonna cap.
Random little story. I don't know if that like fit.
No,
right
I mean
there.
it did. That was crazy. Like I never even thought of that. Like how that would look in the inside looking in, because it's like suspicious. Like why is this man yelling at this black boy like that? Like,
and me and my mom always get that all the time. Like they think that we're never together. Like when we do grocery shopping together, or we go to the like Black Friday shopping. Oh, sir, no, put your stuff back here. Like, no, we're together. That's my mom.
Yeah,
like, and then they'd be like, "Oh, I'm so sorry."
Yeah, no, see that stuff be happening to me, but it'd be different. So like, if I go anywhere, it could be a name. Restaurant, Walmart, it don't matter where I am. If there's a black person, like a black man or a black woman in front of me, they're gonna think I'm their child, like every time. Like I remember I was at Moe's. No, I remember I was at Moe's. Oh, it happened with us too.
Yes, when we went to go get your nail. Oh, Golden Corral. Oh,
wait,
Golden Corral. When you went and go get your nails done, like for what was it? I think your birthday thing or something.
Probably,
remember?
Yeah.
I drove you to that one place and the place was closed, and we went to the other place over there in Marietta. And then so like I was just sitting there waiting or whatever. And remember, she was like, "Oh, I thought that was your dad." But then I saw the shoes. I'm like, "Well, maybe he's just one of the hip dads." I'm like, "Dad." I feel like that was more like on me than you, because like. So how old do you think I am? Because she's 20 something. So when did you think I had kids?
Yeah, she added a jet. But even if I didn't look 20 at the time, I have to at least look 15.
So I had you when I was 2.
Yeah, like it's like, and you don't look that old, so it's like whatever. But yeah, I remember at Golden Corral that happened. Like he wasn't like I was ready. He kept asking you the questions. I'm like, okay, I'm letting you order, and then I'm gonna say what I want. But he kept like talking to you. I'm like, does he not see me here? And then he's like, anything for the child or something like that.
I was like, what child? Because like I was so dumbfounded. Like, what child?
I was like, no, I'm And then in Moe's, this happened back at home. I was ordering food. A black lady was ordering and stuff. She finished her stuff. So then I stand in line, and she's walking off, so I'm still standing there. And then he's like, anything for the child? And then the woman like turned around, and I was like, oh, we're separate. And he probably, and then like every time I go to a restaurant, I'm always getting like menus, child menus. Like, it never fails. Like, yeah.
One time you just need to turn up and just throw a fit. Like
I'm a grown
woman. I can do whatever the I want.
Another thing that kind of like opened my eyes to it is like my I had this roommate. She was Hispanic. I can't remember specific, but I know she was like of Hispanic.
Espanol.
Yeah, her boyfriend was black. And she was saying they knew each other from high school and stuff. And so she was saying like people would always kind of like have issues with them being together because she was Hispanic, he was black, and he's like, why?
Confeso contigo.
Yeah, they was. I don't know what that means.
What happened?
And so she was always kind of hurt by it, and she was like, and they don't even know like my boyfriend, he was adopted. Like he was adopted by Asian parents, I believe. And I met him before, and I never would have thought that he was, adopted by Asian parents. But it doesn't matter. But it's just like people, like I said, people just focus so much on the perception, and like they always have this negative connotation on stuff, and they're not even trying to figure out the story. Not even that it's their business to figure out the story, but it's just like, I'm sure if they would have known that, it's just like, well, dang, like I'm talking about this, and he has all this going on. But so my question is like, what's some things that people like have maybe said to you, or do you have like any stories where you were outcasted for not just being not only adopted but being adopted by a white family? Like, do you have any stories like that was going on? Like, I know you told me something about a teacher did something to you, but
I think that teacher was just racist. I don't think it had anything to do with having a white mom.
Okay.
I think that was a totally different isolated incident. But not really, other than people saying like, oh, I'm not black because I don't have black parents, or when people say stuff like, oh, you have a black mom when this, that, and the fifth, like, you know what I mean? So like when people say stuff like that, I don't really know what that's like or whatever. But
yeah. Did you ever feel like because like if you like did you ever get like, wow, I just stuttered like crazy.
You ever had a dreams that you had?
But did you ever feel like you had to like hide that part of you or like hesitate to mention it because maybe it just gave you too much anxiety to keep bringing it up, or you just didn't want people to know? Like, what I mean, like you were kind of hesitant about people coming over or wanting to know. Like, you never felt like you had to like hide that part of you, or you were just.
I never really cared.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, if anything, it kind of enticed me to have people over because I kind of like the shock value. Oh, your parents are white? Oh, you're Noah's mom? Like, I love seeing that reaction. So if anything, I was like, oh no, y'all all come to my house, and like I purposely don't tell them that they're white because I want them to. What?
That's crazy. Because I know when I first met you, I found that about you at the first day I talked to you. Do you remember how we met? Besides, I know I was working in the mailroom on campus, but we met. Remember, you thought I was my roommate, and you like banged on my door, my window.
Oh, I thought you were the Leah. Yeah, I said, open the door.
I was on the phone with my dad. So okay, y'all. So he was friends with my roommate, right? And so he thought my room was her room, but it was my room. And
she was another
another
window over.
Yes. And so I was on the phone with my dad, and I just hear a bang on my window. I'm like, Dad.
I was like, girl, open. I probably said,
I probably said, Dad, somebody's banging on my window. Like, hold on. He's like, my dad's like, all right. He just hangs up the phone. I'm like, all right, well,
I'm on my own.
Yeah. So I like I try to peek the blinds up. You know, you can peek the blinds up slowly so people don't see you. I did it. You was looking directly at me. He was like, and I'm like, who is this? So I opened the door, and you're just standing there. And you're like, oh, that wasn't. I'm like, no, you banged on my window. But basically, like we was I don't even know what we were talking about, but I think somehow, some way, I was bringing up just families, and you just was like, well, no, I'm adopted, and I was like, oh, okay. I was like, oh.
I said it just like that. Damn.
Yeah. Like you was like, I'm adopted. My mama white. Like you just said it. And I was just like, oh. But that's why I feel like this conversation is needed because it needs to be very normalized. Because even when you told me that, I immediately thought like, oh wow, like, he's adopted. Like, you know, like
we probably talk about like stuff in black households, and I probably was not really able to relate.
Yeah, and I think that's what it was. But I kind of felt. I think that's another like stigma too. People, when you hear people are adopted, you automatically feel sorry for them, and that's just kind of how. It's not that I felt sorry for you, but at the same time, it was just like I felt for you in a way because it's like, wow, like he's adopted. Like I didn't, not just about I didn't care about the white part. It was just like, he's adopted, but that's because people like I never really heard about positive things about when people go up in foster care. I had a friend that was in foster care because her mom was going to do stuff. It was never nothing positive.
There were things that were said now that like brought something to my attention. Like when I was younger, a lot of people say when I was adopted, like a lot of people would say like, oh, well, you're blessed. Oh, you're so lucky. Oh, your parents did you a favor. And back then, of course, you can't comprehend the condescending of that, whatever it is. You know what I mean? But like, had I known like that's what they meant by that, or like that little like, I would have been like, what'd you say?
Exactly. I call that stuff like pity privilege. That's my term for it. Like pity privilege. Like people, you're privileged because people pity you because you have certain situations.
Exactly. I feel like that's a Southern thing though. Like like when like you hear some bad news and like, oh, bless your heart. Like that stuff, like, you know what I mean? It's like that.
Yeah.
You were saying something nice, but you really don't mean it. It's just like,
glad
it's not me.
You're either trying to be funny or you're just trying to make it seem like, oh, I'm sorry. Like, but it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be like that. Like, it's not that deep. Hey y'all, so I wasn't expecting to do this for this interview to go like so long over. So I am gonna be posting the part 2 soon. So stay tuned for that. If you enjoyed what you saw so far, go ahead and comment. Tell me what you think. Give me some of your views. I love to hear from that, and I'll see you next time.